Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. So much is happening for each of us as individuals, so much is happening for us as a species, so much is happening on the planet. And you know, one of the things I see so much of in this position, you know, we do this show and it goes out all over the world, and you know, with the new paradigms of Google video and YouTube and you know, shows we did like 3 or 4 weeks ago are now available all over the world. And it's such an opportunity for us to come together. And one of the things, I mean, there's so many things happening and so many new paradigms being manifested and so many people coming into such a fullness of an experience of love, of oneness, of a vibration of cooperativeness and collaboration and creativity. But one of the things I'm seeing that, you know, has really evolved over the years, I mean, we've been doing this Bridging Heaven and Earth show for really coming on 13 or 14 years now. And most of you know, I mean, there are 225, 226, 227 shows now, just all shows dedicated to the oneness. But one of the things we're really seeing is that for so many years, there were these unbelievably powerful individual points of light. And all over the planet, people were shining brightly. But somehow, because of various and sundry, let's call them ego issues or non-expansion of our own experience, these separate points of light were separate. But so much now, these points of light are coming together in joyous and loving collaboration to really get a beam of light, a beam of powerful and exploding love and connection and manifestations that are getting so powerful and so strong. And we're so blessed at this time to have that happening and to have, I mean, the thing that really surprises me so often is that, you know, we've been involved in this for years and we've been, you know, in the center of it, and we get emails and calls from press people and publishers and almost everybody involved with what people call the New Age or spiritual community are in contact with Bridging Heaven and Earth. It seemed. But now things and people and organizations and events are popping up that we've never heard of. And the experience of these people and these organizations and these events are so true and so right on and so beautiful that it's almost amazing how so much love is rising out of the chaos. And what an opportunity it is for us all to connect up, to bring all the gifts we've been given on this planet, to bring all the understandings that we've been gifted with, and to bring them together really joyously and lovingly in a beautiful creative collaboration. You know, we see now that we're working with so many artists as part of the International Art Project. And these artists are so dedicated and so committed to spreading the vibration of love through art, through music, through, you know, so many poetry. I mean, a lot of the artists do poetry on the bottom. If you go to Heaven to Earth Art, and a lot of the people and more are putting, you know, what this painting meant to me and how, you know, that was such a explosion for me and how it acupunctured and healed me. And so much of that is being made available. So these artists are coming and collaborating with Bridging to bring their incredible gifts of art. And Bridging can bring its, in a sense, its distribution system through this show and through Google video and through YouTube and make that energy of their vibration, of their art, their music available to the world in such a beautiful and in Earth time, a really quick way. I mean, to have a turnaround to do a show and have it out in 1 month or 2 months and 3 months, and then it's available 24/7 all over the world. So it's a real opportunity for us now as individuals, as members of groups, as members of organizations, as members of this human race, as members of this planet, as members of the living joy that we are, the infinite and inclusive joy that we are, to come together in love. And our guest tonight is just an unbelievable example of that. Apollo is one of the world's leading environmental artists. He's best known for his marine art, his endangered species art, his tropical art. Trust me, I mean, you've seen his pieces around. I don't know if you've seen them on T-shirts or walls or murals or paintings or books or CDs. I mean, you've probably seen his art because it just is out there. It's been out there for a really long time, and its intent is pure. Its intent is the recognition of that love. And his story, an amazing journey, an amazing story about how he came in to that recognition of what his life's destiny was, and how, in essence, he's never wavered for that. I think he did it in 1973, so it's 35 years. He's been dedicated, unrelenting, to spread the vibration of love through creativity, through art, through animation, through illustration. And we have, you know, three pieces, and we put them together into 2 pieces of videos. He's done animation videos, creative videos for, you know, different art projects. And we have 2 of his paintings. One he did specifically for the Bridging Heaven and Earth art project. And as you know, it's sent out to the world as a healer, as an acupuncture for the planet, to all create a new original piece. No medium, based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth. No medium, no format requirements. You don't have to be a professional artist. Just have the intent, the love, the desire to collaborate, and come to us, and we'll show it on the air. We'll put it on this incredible virtual gallery, heaven-to-earth-art.com, and we'll come together in love, in healing, and in joy. So it's really an amazing show. It's really the Apollo show. We don't often have where the one guest has the music videos and the art, but Apollo, I don't think we've ever done that, but now with Apollo we have it. So you never could tell that there's infinite possibilities. So please join me in a short meditation, then we'll have the first Apollo video, and then we'll have Apollo's art and his amazing story. So join me in a short meditation. Okay, so it's Apollo night here at Bridging Heaven and Earth. So the first Apollo video is Journey to Distant Lands, beautiful, animated by Apollo. It's beautiful. You'll love it. Enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So, Journey to Distant Lands, and here's the creator of it, Apollo. Welcome, Apollo.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. So, why don't you, as first thing, this is the piece that you did, created just for the Bridging Heaven and Earth art project based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth. Go.
Let me explain how this one here manifested. I was working on the piece, and when I sent the piece up to you, I sent it out to a couple other people as well, and I sent it out to one of my collectors, and he said, I want it, here's a check. So I went, well, that means I'm supposed to create another one for bridging. So what I did is I took a digital image of a hand-painted piece and took it into the computer, into about 3 or 4 different programs, and started manipulating it, and this is what I came up with.
Wow.
And the piece kind of named itself, and it's titled A Time for Peace, and it can't be more apparent when you look at what's going on in the world that it's a time for peace.
It's really a time for peace. So why don't you talk a little, I think I talked a little at the introduction about in 1973 you had this experience, this accident, this epiphany, and you know, it came full blown what your destiny and path was about.
Well, it's just like what John Lennon said, it's, you know, life is what happens while you're making other plans. And that's what happened with me. I was studying for an acting career. I was starting doing some TV commercials. I was teaching dance, of all things. And I thought my career was going to be going down an acting road. But then one day I was driving in the middle of nowhere, and I got literally a Godsmack. He smacked me into a tree at 60 miles an hour in a Volkswagen bus. And now I do what I do. But what I experienced while that was happening is kind of a story in itself, because when we reach that final moment, everybody fears death, and I hope everyone, this goes to heart. There's no fear in death. It's only a transition. And when happened to me is my brakes went out on a Volkswagen bus, of all things. There's absolutely nothing around you but a shell. And it was either hit this big truck in front of me, or try to jump the curb, go between these trees, end up in a field, and not get anybody else involved. And that was my main concern. I didn't want to hurt anybody. And so when I hit the curb, instead of going between this row of trees, it actually launched me through the air and into one of the trees. Well, I perceived the entire event from outside my body. I saw the tree coming in beside me. I saw the glass shattering, and I saw my body going over the windshield and over the steering wheel, in through the windshield, and I saw myself land in the street. But there was no fear in it, there was no pain in it, and it was like I just sat there in kind of wonderment, going, wow, this is it. This is how I step out. Okay, well, that wasn't so bad. And then as soon as I acknowledged my own death, I was sucked into an energy field, and people talk about a tunnel of light. And being an artist, I can kind of describe it as a vortex of rainbow energy that just felt like it pulled me halfway across the universe. And then I blasted through this light. I was in this space with this incredible spiritual being, and from my own spiritual teachings growing up, I believed in Christ and that sort of a thing. And this being looked like Christ, but with white hair and these glowing blue eyes, and we were just walking through these incredible mountain meadows, and the seasons were changing around us, and I had all these questions about life and death and the differences in religions, and why do people believe the way. Oh, I had so many questions, and they were all answered with just a look, and all telepathic. And then I was given a choice. I was given a literal choice if I wanted to come back. And it was so incredibly beautiful on the other side that it's beyond description. Everything had a luminescence of its own. Purple snow, the seasons were changing around us. It was gorgeous. I wanted to stay. But at the same time, I was given a choice to come back and make a difference. And I asked, how can I make a difference? What can I do to make a difference? The world's so messed up, you know. I was told, do art. I go, how's doing art? I go, I messed around with art all my life, but how's doing art going to change the world? You know, how's that going to make it a better place? And I was told that if I went back, used my art as a soapbox, I could use it. One day it would get all around the world. I'd use it as a soapbox to speak out on social and environmental issues. And in 1973, our environmental consciousness was about as much as don't be a litter bug, and that was about it. And so there wasn't even an environmental movement back then per se. It was right at the beginning when all the Earth Day stuff was just starting to happen, and people considered everybody that believed in any of that kind of stuff as freaks. You know, we were all freaks. You know, we come out of a generation of freaks. But what's happened is when I came back, all this stuff, I made the decision, a conscious decision, I want to go back. If I can make a true difference on this planet, I'm ready. And then I got the fine print.
There's always the fire. Sadly enough.
Here's how the contract works.
And you're going to have to be in a human body, and you're going to have to do it. Go ahead, tell us.
Exactly. You got to be in a human body. You got to deal with the human condition. You got to deal with human emotions. You got to deal with everything that everybody else on the planet is dealing with in their own particular way. So no exemptions. Just know that you have a mission, and follow your mission. And that's what I've been doing for about the last 35 years, and it's been an incredible ride. I've gotten to do some incredible things, and
And so when you came out of this vortex and were no longer with this person, and then you know, kind of wake up under a tree, and there are people around going, you know, or paramedics or something, and your body was in a physical disarray or disharmony, let's say.
I was laying in the street. I had a crowd of people around me. The first words I hear is a woman say, I think he's dead.
What a handsome corpse.
And at those words, I can remember it was like those words were like somebody going with the electrodes, because I jumped up and I scared the bejesus out of everybody.
I'm not dead.
I'm not dead. I go, that really happened. I go, that really happened. You won't believe this. That really happened. And the gentleman who was driving down the highway behind me comes up to me. He goes, settle down, settle down. It's okay. I was right behind you. I saw you. It did happen. You hit the curb. Your van hit the tree. I go, no, you don't understand. What I just went through really happened. That wasn't a dream. He goes, it wasn't a dream. I was right behind you. I saw you hit the tree. Right. I go, no, and I couldn't articulate
absolutely
what I had just experienced.
Right.
And then my whole life just changed dramatically. I started having incredible psychic perceptions, and I went to a friend, and I was already into hypnosis and things, and I went to a friend who was a psychologist, and I said, hey Steve, I think I'm flipping out, you know, I'm a child of the 60s, and maybe, you know, there was one too many trips out the back door, you know, what's going on? Here's what I'm experiencing. And I told him, and at that time in 1973, not too many people heard about, you know, these death experiences. It wasn't a popular subject. And I told him what I had gone through, and he says, well, you know, a lot of people have experienced these kind of things, and it could be an awakening. And I said, well, it's definitely an awakening, because I feel like my whole life has got a different direction now. And so what I started to do is I first started studying metaphysics, and I wanted to know the connection between us and how that connection works. And then I started doing more with my art and just for my own personal self. And I picked up and moved to the mountains, to the high Sierras, because I felt by being in the Sierras, you know, I'd be closer to that source of energy, and I didn't know how I was going to do what I was told I was going to do. I had no idea how it was going to manifest. And I got a job in a reservations place, and I was sitting there doodling. And a guy came into the reservation office, and he says, can you do that all the time? I said, well, sure, you know, I do it all the time. He goes, well, can you do it if I asked you to do a certain thing? Can you do it? He goes, sure, why not, you know? He goes, how would you like a comic strip in the newspaper? I go, you'll pay me to do that? I went,
I can
sure,
leave,
I'm a
leave
skier.
this jar.
I'm a skier. I can go. Cool. I can ski all the time. And I thought, excellent. And that was my first paying job, was as a cartoonist. And then the creative experience in my life has touched so many different bases. It's amazing when you get in that creative sandbox, how many different things that you can do. There's grains of sand over here you can build a sandcastle with, and you can build something else over here, and you can experience all these different forms of creation, but it's the creative energy is the same.
Right, it doesn't matter.
You become a director of how you want to ride that creative wave, and it's a wave of energy. It's, people talk about how when they create things, they lose themselves in the creation. That's absolutely part of it, because you become part of the creative process. It's more than just having an idea here and then trying to make that happen here. When the real creativity happens is what's happening here, and what's happening here is merely part of what's happening here. And this is an outward expression of it.
And in here.
And in here.
Right.
And that connection between the divine, which is the creative force that runs throughout the entire universe. And when we tap into that, it's a flow of energy, and when we tap into it and we learn how to tap into it, we can create anything. The human spirit is phenomenal. It's amazing what we can do with it. I'm just on a ride.
And so right from that very beginning, did you ever doubt that experience? Did you ever doubt that that was your destiny? Did you think, maybe I could go back to acting? And was there any ever time when, things weren't exactly working out in the art field, or from that first illustration, there was always momentum, there was always...
No, not at all. Once again, I had to deal with the human condition like everybody else. I had to go through the conflicts within myself about being a starving artist, and that whole precepts that everybody... See, people create for other people, and if we listen to what they create for us, then we become an active participant in their creation. So why ride that when you can choose to ride higher and make the things manifest that you want to have manifest? And what's happening now with me is it's jumping to new levels and getting to play with new medias and
You mean like the internet and all that?
well, the internet and film and animations, things that I've loved all my life. I'm getting to play in those arenas now, and it's an incredible experience.
And would you say, because of the way the paradigms are and the way the technology is, that it's almost so much easier for somebody in their home to do this incredible animation with, like medium equipment? You don't have to have the, top of the line Walt Disney studio equipment, or...
Well, it's the equipment is now available that you can create this kind of stuff, but I'd love to have my hands on a supercomputer, of course,
Right.
But I've got some pretty powerful computing technology. But even if I'm creating an image in the computer and it's not being done with a paintbrush, I could literally create this piece faster with a paintbrush than it takes the time for
the rendering?
the rendering process, and computers going through these billions of calculations. Imagine what the human mind is capable if I could create that quicker than the computer can render it.
And do you get moved to say, okay, one, manifestation is a paintbrush, one manifestation is with, finger painting, one manifestation I sit down in front of a computer? I mean, are they different impulses? Why don't you talk about like the creative process a little?
The creative process for me is kind of a multitasking process. Every day I wake up and I kind of have this thing that I have to create something today. And what is it that I'm creating? Am I creating on the computer? Am I creating? Am I writing? Am I walking out into the studio? Am I doing all of it? Sometimes I'll be working in the studio, walk by the computer, and something catches my eye, and I'll start working there, and I'll work there for a couple hours. But it's always that flow of wherever I'm supposed to be at the time, that's where I'm at. And by knowing that, It's not.
Right. You're not resisting it.
It's not, and it's not inconsistent.
Right.
Because
there's no limitation.
What it does is, it removes the limitations.
Right.
So as people say, well, don't you just concentrate on, no, I'm creating in several arenas at once. And when we learn that we have that ability to do that, it's amazing, because we start finding out that we're creating more than just art, music, poetry, literature. We're creating circumstance.
And we're putting out a vibration.
And we're putting out a vibration that affects everybody.
Everybody.
And right now, even with all that is happening on the planet, and I know that you and I spoke about this, with the mass disasters, and I feel like right now there's something incredible happening as far as a shift in consciousness on a global level, because right now there have been these mass soul evacuations from the planet. People look at them as natural disasters, but these souls agreed before those events ever took place, before they ever stepped foot on this planet as human beings. They made a pact that they would step out together, and so that the rest of the world could see this and feel the things like love, compassion, reaching out to your fellow man, sharing the oneness, feeling the pain. All of this was agreed on way before. So I look at things as everything is for the greater good. And even if we can't recognize what's going on and why the tragedies in life and on earth happen, the ultimate is for the greater good, because it's all God experiencing God. And it's, you're God, I'm God, everybody in the audience is. We cannot be separated from the source of that energy. There is no separation, no space between us. You know, that space in between us is vibrating constantly with energy and life force. And when we recognize our oneness, these incredible collaborations can happen to bring forth a new paradigm and bring peace. It's time for peace now. That's why this peace it manifested itself. And I got to watch it happen. I got to watch the creative process of this piece and be involved in it. But the energy behind it is because this is what we need. This is what we need now. We need peace now.
Amen, brother. No, that's beautiful. And actually, you know what we can do now is show the second video. The one is that RTV award thing in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Why don't you kind of set that up for people?
Okay. Well, like I said, I get to play in a lot of different playgrounds, and I was contacted by the producers of the Art TV Awards, which is another great thing that's happening. It's finally a visual award show for visual artists, and they just had their second venue in Las Vegas, and I got to create a couple of animations to set up the awards, one for the beginning of the show and then one for the painters category. And in the painters category, I don't know which one you're showing.
We put the painters first, and then it segues to in the beginning.
So on the painters category, it's basically a slideshow with some nice music and with some different transitions and things, but it's of a lot of the great artists throughout time, and some of my favorite artists, and I'm sure a lot of people's favorite artists, and some of the more well-known ones with some of their pieces, but they don't know the faces behind it. So I brought in the artists along with some of their pieces and created this little collage. So.
And then in the beginning is this animation explosion.
Yes, and in the beginning is an animation explosion about, God created it and we're still creating.
All right, so that's the second of the Apollo show videos. So here we have it. It's beautiful at the RTV Awards in the beginning. Enjoy. everybody. Welcome back. So welcome back to the Apollo show. You just saw 2 more videos from Apollo, and now you see another piece from Apollo. So why don't you kind of tell people about this one?
Okay, this is another piece that was actually created in the computer, and a lot of times in the evenings I'll sit down and just kind of see where the creative energy will take me. And I went into one of the programs that I play with, and I took an image of my own in there, and I started playing with these different filters, and I started creating these different things. I go, well, what would happen if I did this, and what would happen if I did that? And I go, this needs to be a powerful piece about manifestation. And I started playing with filters that I could kind of create that feel with, and this is what evolved out of it, and I call it Manifesting Precious Metals. And it's kind of a vortex, like a magnetic vortex, to illustrate how we create and make manifest out of nothingness. Because it's not really out of nothingness. There's a lot of creative energy. It's here, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's everywhere.
Is there anywhere it isn't?
There's nowhere that it's not. So it's about tapping into that creative energy. And everybody, I hear people constantly tell me when I'm doing shows and things, oh, I wish I was creative. Everybody is creative. We are constantly creating, constantly. It never stops. Unfortunately, a lot of people are creating and they don't understand that they're creating the circumstance around them. They're creating the depression, or they're creating the joy, or they're creating the relationship, or they're the creator of their own center of the universe and their perspective on it. And what this piece is about is, a lot of people say, well, I think about manifesting and creating money, and so I can do this and do that. I go, well, you're approaching it the wrong way. It's not about manifesting money. People that don't understand, it's about manifesting circumstance. What is the circumstance do you want to create? Is the circumstance that you want to have the possession of a new car? Then just in your mind create it. The universe will catch up to it. The creative process. Once you have the vision, the creative process kicks in, and every aspect will fall into place to make that happen. It'll come from here. A phone call will come from here. Something that you didn't even notice would be over here, and all of a sudden it got your attention. It was there all the time. That's how we tap into that creative life force, and we make manifest on the experience level rather than just on the physical. This is just an expression. This is an expression of where the energy is. The real creativity is creating the world around us. And things like, I use a lot of times, I'll talk to people and I'll use the matrix as an example, but rather being controlled by computers is being controlled by the creative intellect of everyone around you and you. And the dimensions of reality are just like the galaxies in the universe. They're countless. We can't even put a figure on it. You know, we zoom into 1 square inch of space and we see billions of them, trillions of them, as much as we can see. It just keeps going. So that's how it is with the creative energy. If you can tap into that, and the toughest part is figuring out what you want to make manifest. Everybody's creating haphazardly. If we need to create world peace, let's create world peace. We need to focus on it, though. And then all the right people, all the right circumstance, all the right technology, all the right things will come together automatically. The universe will always accommodate us, always and always.
Does there have to be, when you're talking about like a global phenomenon like world peace, would you say that that's only an individual thing and then it spreads out, or that there has to be some sort of, quantum percentage, like the 100th monkey, for that to shift?
Both.
I mean, both. But talk about that.
We have world peace right here, right now. Right now, you and I, we have world peace right here, right now. And that vibration is going out. And it goes out just like radio waves. It goes out just like cosmic waves. It continues to vibrate and have an effect. It's like the butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings on this side of the planet can affect the weather on the other side.
Yeah, shifting one grain of sand.
Exactly.
Okay, and how do you see it?
Right now, I see an incredible explosion of creative energy. And more people are creating with the knowingness that there are no stop signs. Only thing that stops our creations are self-imposed. And when we learn how to really manipulate the creative energy, it's amazing that what we can do. We have the technologies. We can change the world. We didn't need fossil fuel yesterday, let alone tomorrow. There's technologies. There's creative people out there working on every aspect of our interaction with the planet, on every aspect of our interaction with the solar system, with the universe. There's people working on every aspect. We just need to bring those people together. And when I heard about bridging heaven and earth, it was a perfect fit for me, because this is what I've been trying to have manifest with my art for 35 years, is to close that gap between the two sides, to where that veil is so thin that we can not only perceive through it, but it can be blown away with a breath.
Yeah, that there is no separation.
And now there is no separation. The only separation is caused by us.
Or we use words to describe things.
Exactly. We put labels on things. And so my focus on my art now is just exploding into just like mass arenas with things like movies, and I write, and there's messages that need to get out to touch people's souls. And I kind of feel like every painting, every written word, everything that I'm involved with, I have a conscious feeling like it's there to turn the switch on in somebody else, so that they can
light the candle,
so that they can tap into it and experience that creative flow, and know that they're in charge of what's going on in their reality.
Okay, so if there are, the millions of people watching the show over time, and they're going, this guy's far out, he's way out, but far out nonetheless. I seem to not be able to exactly tap into that creative energy. I don't seem to be able to make my world exactly the way I want to look at it. Are there any tools? Are there any techniques? Are there any ways?
But you are. You're doing it with bridging.
No,
you're doing it with everyone that you come into contact with. You're doing it with every guest you have on your show. You're making manifest. And your creation, combined with somebody else's creation, combined with somebody else's creation, combined with somebody else's creation, actually accelerates the creative energy in a geometric progression, to where it's not 1 + 1, it's 1 to the 10th power.
Right.
So that when we combine our creative energies, there's nothing that the human.
But I'm saying if viewers are watching the show out there, and they're feeling like, they're not really living out their destiny, they're not really living out their creativity. I mean, are there ways that at different points in your lives where you were more able to line up with that, where you were more able to rub up against your destiny and rub up against the infinite and feel more connected to that?
I think the number one, if I had to put my finger on one thing,
for this crowd, right,
is go beyond all the dogma and understand that it's God and man, or God and woman. There's no separation. We are one, and it's the most important thing out of all of that to recognize is that we are spiritual beings. We are an expression of God. Be spiritual. Be the spiritual being that we are, and everything else will manifest the way we wish to choose. because we are each an individual expression of the Godhead. So how is God going to interact with the universe as Alan? How is God going to interact with the universe as Apollo or anyone else? Do we do it subconsciously and not knowing, or do we take the control and recognize our divinity right there? We have to recognize our divinity. Once we do that, then it's about letting that energy flow through us and taking it for a maximum ride and see where it's going to take you. How is the universe going to unfold today? Are we going to take it a slice higher in dimension, or are we going to backtrack through our own ignorance, because that's all it is? Once we make a conscious choice to move forward, the floodgates of awareness open up, and there's no going back. It's taking the red. It's taking the red tablet, not the blue, and not the blue one.
In the Matrix.
Yes, just like in the Matrix, you're going down the rabbit hole, and it's a conscious choice, and then you start watching your reality manifest around you, and you watch things, and as you become conscious that you were part of the creative process that made that happen, in a little way you need to do one of these, because you go, not for being able to make it happen, but for recognizing that you were part of it.
I mean, would you say at some point, we use the expression, you become like love in motion?
Absolutely.
And then you're not even thinking, you're not padding, you're not padding, you just, like moving and manifesting.
Same as I tell people when I'm doing a painting, they go, well, what do you do first? I go, I have no idea. I go, I'm just a paintbrush. I'm an extension of the paintbrush. And I
do it different every time.
And it's always
it's
different.
Always new.
It's always new. It's always challenging. And it's always something that when I walk away from, I have to go, wow. I had a wow experience getting to create that. Now, if other people can walk up to it and feel that energy that was experienced in the creative process, then they can walk away and be affected by it too. And
It's
take a little
interesting
piece to accelerate their own creativity.
I mean, a lot of people say, the shows, bridging shows are the same. And I say, no, everyone is so different. Because, every guest, I mean, you were here for 2 shows, and, Christine Stevens was the earliest show, and with the drums and all that. I mean, it was a similar form. It looks the same. It's on a canvas
Right.
But energetically, it's not.
No.
I mean, it's about the love, and
So it's love made manifest is creation. Creation is love made manifest. So if you create with love, love is like the key ingredient in the soup. It is not soup until you add that ingredient.
It's not good soup.
It's not good soup.
Right. There's a lot of soup on the planet.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So when you add the ingredient of love,
it changes everything.
It changes everything. And
the intention and the vibration of that, that's so beautiful.
And from my own experience, I don't know if I told you about this, but in all my hand painted stuff, the word love is just repeated, sometimes thousands of times.
Right. Yeah, it looks like hair, it looks like
it looks like hair, it looks like clouds, it looks like folds in the clothing, whatever it is. It's just so that can reach the viewer subconsciously. And I had a talk with the Creator one day when I was at the easel, and I said, Lord, wow. I go, I absolutely love doing what I'm doing. The ride is phenomenal, but how can I make the creations more like what you create? How can I put that energy into it?
More love.
And this voice comes back in my head, create with love. And almost like the accident thing, I'm going, but I do create with love. I love what I'm doing. I love the experience. I'm on this ride and the whole thing. And then it came back, create with love. And it just kept repeating like a mantra. So I took my paintbrush and I went on the canvas and I went, love, 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 love. Oh, that's an interesting texture. Love, 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 love. Oh my God, it's creating a picture. And now I use it in every, if I'm doing a marine piece, it's in the coral, it's in the fish, it's on the scales of the fish. It doesn't matter what it's in, the word love is repeated a multitude of times. And it's a way of reaching into people's heart space without them putting up a wall immediately.
Or having a definition of
Or having a definition of it, because that's all we're here to learn is unconditional love.
Right.
And if we create unconditional love and make our creations with unconditional love, we wouldn't have the problems of the planet.
Right.
Because like what I said earlier, there are people working on every aspect. There's a solution for everything that faces humanity right now.
Right.
We have solutions. Not that we have to come up with solutions. There are solutions out there. It's matching the solution, the creative solution, with whatever was created to create the problem.
I mean, we always talk about that, there's only one problem on the planet, that people feel separate.
Exactly.
And people aren't, experiencing the love.
Exactly.
So once that happens, all hell breaks loose.
Exactly. And if you're experiencing the love and you're experiencing the oneness, then you're not sitting behind the desk of an oil company figuring how many more dollars to the gallon will the public actually accept.
Be able to suck out of them
before the cars are all just parked permanently,
right,
or whatever,
right.
So it's interesting because those people know that they're creating too.
Right.
But they're creating from a different level. They're creating from more of a lower chakra level, from a gut level, from a possession kind of a level, of controlling level.
Greed, control, fear.
Fear. And it's all based on fear.
Right.
It's all based on fear. Anyone who has the most and works from that kind of a mindset are so afraid of losing what they have that they don't get to enjoy
But it gives us all this stuff to do, so how fortunate we are.
So it's, and those people have to exist too, because even in today's reality, we need that so that the good can rise up. Without that to reflect on, without the darkness, there is no light. Because
for now,
you need.
Well, the new paradigms are going to take us.
The new paradigm is a switch in consciousness to where we understand that both halves are the same side of the coin.
Right. Well, we're coming to the end. So.
Okay.
This was a really extraordinary, time to talk about and to hear and to feel, about creativity, about love, about how they come together, about love in motion, about manifesting. This was the Apollo show, and you really got a real dose of it. So any information, Alan, 805-687-2053. Alan, 805-687-2053. Good night. God bless you. We love you.